This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter the offer code KINDAFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. Build it beautiful. It's not their tagline anymore, but I like that one, so use that one. Yeah. You're making a website. Cool, dude. Put Garfield comics on it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Greg.
Hi. By the time most people see this, Kinda Funny Live 2 will be over, and you'll be free, and you'll be able to rest.
Upon recording this, I think I edited the last thing that Tim, the master, wanted me to edit. He just gave me a list of shit and was like, go into a hole for a week and a half and edit it. I hope it was a good show.
I bet it was an awesome
looks like
show.
It's going to be a great show.
There's no way this show can fail, I always like to say. Too big to fail, right? Pride of Long Island,
like
Colin Moriarty?
Everything's too big to fail.
Just like Enron.
Yep, Enron is not really the one we're thinking about when we talk about too big to fail, but
I think it was.
Well, not really.
They were big, remember?
They were big,
and they were like,
failed.
there's no way we can fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good to be here with you. I think Kinda Funny Live will be just fantastic.
Probably was.
I hope so.
Look for the video probably in 3 weeks because Tim's tired and he's been editing nonstop. And Tim isn't here for this episode of the GameOverGreggy show because he is editing stuff. So, the one and only Jordan Town filling in for him. Hello, Jordan Town. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good.
Now, you went over to patreon.com/kindafunny and supported us at an obscene level to come be on this show.
Yes, I'm homeless now.
Do you already regret it?
Oh, not even a little bit.
So far, you've seen me shave Colin's neck.
Yeah.
Kevin has walked you around. You saw him shovel Marnie Ty in his face.
Yeah.
And then Nick got here and started being inappropriate immediately.
Well, I mean, that's really what I paid for. So.
It wasn't inappropriate. It was life advice, and sometimes that gets a little nasty.
It gets real.
But it's just that, I mean, I like to imagine like you're already delivering on what we would say the Nick Scarpino everyone imagine is, because it was just like, all right, how old are you? Like, where are you going to call? Let me tell you about the girls down there.
Well, because he goes like, I asked him how old he was, right? It's a natural question.
How old are you?
17.
17 years old. Not even able to vote, buy cigarettes, or I guess you can get a prostitute, but why would you want to do that? I guess there's not really a legal age for that, right, Greg?
I guess. I don't know. Zyger almost picked up a prostitute that one time.
Yeah, but Zyger didn't know she was a prostitute. He probably just thought she was trying to sell him a TV. No, Jordan and I were talking about colleges, and he said he was interested in going to UC Santa Barbara, and I was encouraging him to do so because it's a good school. It's on the beach. Good education, good scholastics. And it is not known for its good-looking people.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah.
So it has a little bit of a stigma in a good way, if a stigma can be good. Colin, can I get a ruling on that?
I assume so. It's like the word omen.
Yeah,
where you could have a good omen,
yeah,
but omens typically
aren't bad. Mm-hmm. Well, it's got a stigma to it that happens to coincide with hot people, namely women. That's what I'm interested in.
Okay,
but to each his own. To each his or her own.
Thank you, man. Thanks for gracefully backing out of that. Jordan, tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Fairfield, Iowa.
That's a long way away.
It is. Small, little town, famous for being filled with hippies.
So it's like San Francisco.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So they're weird in very different ways. Like
tell me about your variety of hippies. It's like Gremlins 2, the new batch. They all have their own individual.
Like
okay.
Yeah.
Is there a Phantom of the Opera hippie?
Is there a fruit hippie made of vegetables and fruit?
So I don't know around when. Probably around the 70s or 80s.
Ancient times to you.
Yes. Pretty much the world didn't exist at that
right.
point. There's a large renaissance of sorts in Fairfield, Iowa, of meditation and a specific form of meditation.
Okay, which one? Tantric sex?
Transcendental meditation. So it's taught, it was like brought from India by a dude named Maharishi.
Okay.
He kind of just introduced it to the West, and kind of anyone who was interested in that around the 60s and 70s ended up in this little town in Iowa. And now there's a private school, which I went to until early this year, where I started homeschooling.
Okay.
For just I got sick with whooping cough for like 6 months and just like, couldn't finish out the rest of the year. So there's that high school and a college there, which are just kind of put focus on like building inward as well as learning outside knowledge.
Okay.
It's weird. It's totally weird. I fully own up to that, but it's also kind of cool.
So wait, you engage in this activity?
Yes.
Is it sort of like mindfulness? Like what exactly would you? What's a good parallel or analog to it?
Sure. So it's like max the idea is like you do it twice a day, 20 minutes each time.
Okay.
And like if you can.
Don't worry.
And it's like kind of it can be as casual or as like hardcore as you want it to be.
Hardcore.
For lack of a better word,
Yeah.
as hardcore as meditation can
Yeah.
Right.
Listen to Slayer while you do it. Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Very
I don't think that's
interesting.
weird at all. I think that's fine.
It's what's interesting to me is the way you set it up. I thought it like burned out, that it wasn't a thing anymore, but it's still
no.
very much a thing.
Oh yeah. And actually in San Francisco there's a program called Quiet Time in some of the inner city schools.
Okay.
They're doing transcendental meditation.
Is that like Heads Up 7-Up? I used to play that.
I just like it's called quiet
I
time.
think
Of course
we need
is.
it though. I think
San
this is-
Francisco.
I think we're at that place as a society, and as a society, we're at a place where there is just too much noise there, and you have to start training people how to deal with it. And one of those ways is meditation. And I don't think there's it sounds silly until you realize how fucking high strung all of us are, and like. If you took 20 minutes in your day and just sat with yourself and breathed, and there was no outside stimulation, there was nothing to worry about, and the whole point of it was just to feel good, I think you'd be better. I think we'd all be better off for it.
Sure.
Having said that, we don't do it, right? We got 3 email accounts and stuff's coming in from every orifice.
Yeah, I knew that's where you're gonna go. I knew that's where you're going before you got there.
We got to take a break for like 6 months, come back, I'll refill
No,
the
you're
references.
great. You're delivering today. You're destroying.
All right.
I love it. I
All
love the
right.
Thimbleweed Park shirt. I love the comments. You're doing
Dude, this shirt is my new favorite shirt.
It's really good,
It's
right?
because here's the deal. It's wider than it should be, a little bit.
Yeah.
And the arms are shorter. So my arms feel bigger and my stomach feels smaller. And it gives me self-confidence. So you don't understand this because you're tall and skinny.
Well, I mean,
And you have a great hairline. Get the fuck out. Get out. No.
The world's your oyster.
really is. No, I like this shirt. Thanks for getting it.
bitterness.
No problem.
For me. This is
Well,
Ron.
it's just, we're already at the end of our life cycles, and here he is, ready to go.
Ready to
Take
go.
on
Let's
the
go
Brand
around the
spanking new.
Let's all go around the table. You said you were 17 years old.
17.
Born in 1999?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Ah,
Let's all go around the table real quick and say where we were in 1999. Starting with you, Colin.
I was in 10th grade.
Yeah, I was.
a year younger than me.
I was getting ready to. I was in high school. I graduated in 01. I can't do the math fast enough.
Yeah, I think I was in my sophomore year of college. Yeah, at least going into my sophomore year of college.
New Year's 98 and 99, I was playing Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, nice.
That's what I was doing in 99.
That's a good year. That's a year well spent.
Yeah.
Right
Jeez.
there.
What happened in 1999? 311 Sound System came out in 1999. Rage Against the Machine's Battle of Los Angeles came out in
Y2K.
1999.
We were all gearing up for Y2K.
Y2K. I remember spending 99 into 2000 in my room expecting on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Expecting everything
To
to
go
go
away.
haywire.
Yeah,
Nothing
no,
happened. I was like, what the
terrified.
fuck?
Yeah. You
I
kind
was
of
so excited. I wanted it to
wanted
happen.
something to happen,
this
right?
is it. This is what I've been training
This is
for.
like this is my Red Dawn moment.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't
Planes are going to
This
fall
is
from the sky. All this
two
crazy shit's going to happen. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Just like Jordan did, where you can support us, get the shows early, and get a whole bunch of other goodies. If you have no bucks to toss over there, it's no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we put up the entire show topic by topic, day by day, until one big MP3
Wait a
video
minute.
goes live.
1999.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago, was it?
No.
I guess it was that long
To
ago.
me, it feels like it was a year ago. To him, it was literally like all
Non-existent.
darkness until he came out of the birth canal.
Dude, I was like sitting in my room playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, eating Hot Pockets or some shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hot Pockets were all the rage back then.
Oh, I loved Hot Pockets.
It was like, why do I need a stove when I can microwave my food?
There was only 2 seasons of South Park.
Oh, wow.
That's right, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still, everyone was still doing the Cartman voice
Yeah.
back then.
Oh, well, yeah. Did they ever stop?
Oh, that bled well into the. That was.
You're like, oh no, it transcends time and space. The Cartman
Are people
voice.
still doing the Cartman voice? Do people still do that? Because you know how you always had the one friend that like mastered the voice, and everyone at first was like, "You're really good at doing that Cartman voice," and then he just kind of held to that for the rest of his life. Are those people still around? Yeah, I was like he's still doing it today. You're like, all right, man.
It's like the guy that what's that?
Yeah,
there was that guy. Oh my god,
that guy I give props to though. If you're still holding on to that, you're a fucking hero.
Do you even know of the Budweiser frogs? Did they teach you this in school?
I can't say I didn't. I missed that class. I'm sorry.
We're becoming those people.
Well, that's our whole career is founded on that. I wanted to start with you, Jordan.
Sure.
You have a really good topic, but I feel like we bullshitted enough in the front that I don't want to start with. I don't want to do a serious good topic. But have people click in and it's just us talking about how old we are.
You call
I think we should. We're in Audible and go to Nick.
Great. This is good.
Because Nick's got a great Nick topic.
What is the biggest fruit you can still feel confident sampling before you buy at the supermarket?
I like this question. This is a great question.
And a little bit of context.
Okay, go.
A little bit of context. The other night, my wife and I decided that we wanted a dessert of berries and whipped cream. So I was like, I'm gonna go get some. I'm gonna get some blueberries and some strawberries. We'll mix them up, whatever. But I like to try the blueberries first because you don't know. Sometimes they taste bad. They're too sour. They're not ripe enough, or they're overripe and they just taste like dirt. So I open up a package, and this is like my local supermarket, like in my neighborhood. There's a lot of people around, and I try one. It's too sour. It's not ready yet. Put it back. Right. Do it again. By the fourth packet, I look over and there is a woman staring at me, and I realize that she might think I'm a bum, like I'm a person who is just randomly has just walked up and started eating the fruit, right? And so I didn't let it stop me. I kept going, and I finally found one that was good. But then
how many packages do you have to sample? Okay,
four. Not
fourth
too bad.
Was the final one.
But then I looked and I was like, well, shit, I'm not even to the strawberries yet. And I looked down and I was like, could I actually sample a strawberry and get away with this, or is the strawberry too big? That was the question.
Oh, this is a good. The strawberry, there's two problems with the strawberry thing. The strawberry is too big, but the strawberry, you can't also eat the entire strawberry. So you have a scrap afterwards. What are you going to do? Are you going to put it back in the box?
That's what I would say.
You just bury it in the bottom and tuck the rest on top.
Jesus, Nick.
That's what I would say is the barrier. If you can finish the whole thing with no remnants in one bite.
Wow.
Interesting.
That would be
interesting.
Because you don't want any leftover just in the box to.
I see what you're saying here.
That's interesting.
There's a place called Real Foods, not Whole Foods, but Real Foods. Well, if you ask, they will cut up like an orange or an apple or something and actually give you a slice of it, and then it just sits there if people want more of it, which I always thought was weird. Maybe actually the Whole Foods I think does that, not Real Foods.
A few places do that where they have like the little thing where you can like spin it to the side, the plastic thing, and then reach in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I respect, but still it's not giving me I want to know, because fruit's so expensive.
It is.
If you get the organic stuff.
Sure.
I want to know
what's
what's
organic fruit.
He doesn't like
know.
those DDTs.
Come on, man.
I don't even know. I don't even know why I buy it.
It's such bullshit.
It's better for you, I guess. Who knows?
It annoys me so much because you read about it and it's like, well, there's really nothing wrong with eating this stuff that's covered in, and same thing with preservatives. It's like, I don't want preservatives in my food. I'm like, yeah, let me buy a loaf of bread that goes bad in 2 days. That sounds awesome. I can't wait to have this loaf of bread that's moldy by the time I put it on top of my fridge.
Right.
As opposed to just having some preservatives we've been eating for 100 years that are totally fine in my Wonder Bread.
Well, you gotta make your own bread. That's what they want you to do. You gotta grow your own cattle out back and make your own bread.
Who's got that kind of time?
I don't know.
Now
you're gardening now. So
I am. I am.
Now-
I am gardening.
based on everything Colin just Jordan, I'd like you to tell me, since he is a fan of preservatives, how old is that bell pepper?
I threw it out. Why? You're not talking about putting out the broccoli that's like fucking brown next to it?
The broccoli.
They were left over from. I made a pasta dish and they were left over. I just
yeah, but they've been left over for a long time. Is all I'm saying. That's all. It reminded me
never left anything.
It reminded me a lot of the limp dick cucumber you had that one day.
All right, but you play this up a lot, but you leave things in there I throw out all the time. I just don't
like all my mustard.
I didn't throw out all your mustard.
You did.
You threw. I don't try to make you feel bad. You leave fucking gross lettuce in there. Sometimes I'm throwing out. You had a fucking avocado that was turning inside out on itself like a dying fucking star.
It's because I buy organic avocados.
Oh man,
that's the problem with the avocado. Is that just that motherfucker like that gonna go bad?
Ramon taught me an interesting trick with avocados. Do you eat a lot of avocados in Iowa? We love avocados out here in California.
Just corn out there.
Well, because I asked this because I had this conversation before with people. I'm telling you, in the 90s, and certainly before that in the 80s and everything, we were not eating avocados on the East Coast. They were not a thing. And I remember seeing them in the supermarket and they were fucking ridiculously expensive. I remember them being like $5, $6, $7 a piece. in like the 90s. Like no one was eating avocados, no one was eating guacamole. This is out there. This is a new thing. Out here, obviously, you guys have been eating.
Now here's what I'll time out real quick.
Yeah.
No, you think guacamole's happening in Mexican restaurants, not at the tableside guac and all this shit.
Yeah. But we didn't even like. I was talking to people where I'm like, did we even eat Mexican food on Long Island?
Okay.
Like,
Probably not.
And we
growing up.
They're like,
really
no, we were
didn't.
full-blown
We
racists.
sure didn't. I remember having my first burrito in high school. Like there was a place called Burrito 2000 or something like that we used to go to. It was pretty good. But it was like kind of shitty.
Was it based on the year?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was. It was on 112 on Long Island, which is like a little highway. And I remember that being my first exposure even to like that kind of food. Like it was just kind of very foreign to me. Anyway, I asked that question only because it seems like avocados everywhere now. Nonetheless, if you pull out the little thing on top, like you know the little
You pop the top?
Yeah, like and the color of that apparently indicates how good or not is. Like you shouldn't squeeze it. I always squeezed it. And like, you should really gauge it based on that.
Thing.
It's too complicated.
I feel if you pop the top, though, isn't it going to accelerate it going bad?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Ramon. I didn't follow up with him on that particular question.
Going back to my original topic, it's a win-win at that point because if
You
you
just
look
eat the
at
avocado and you're like, no.
no, I was gonna say if you look at it, it's not right. You just throw it back and it's someone else's problem.
See, well, no, that is 100%. I agree with that. Yeah, if you start looking in, there's all these brown ass tips of avocado. Like, damn it, Colin, you beat me to this produce store. But in terms of the sampling thing, I thought that was only a grape thing. And even then,
You can do it
I
with
don't
grapes.
do it. I don't do it with grapes. But I don't do it with any fruit. Now, granted, I ain't buying grapes all that often.
You can do it with more than just fruit, I feel like. Now, I don't often do it. I like blueberries fine. I'll just kind of roll the dice. Raspberries, I love raspberries. I'll
Yeah.
just buy
Who
them.
doesn't love a good ras?
But I feel like you could do it with cashews.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you could do it with walnuts and almonds.
well, I mean, there's
But
the
then
whole.
you're just getting greedy. When's the last time you ate a walnut or an almond? You're like, this doesn't taste good at all. This is
This
a bad.
almond's all fucked up.
Yeah, there's really no bad.
It's not smoked. It's not as past its prime.
I mean, we've all had the bulk bin experience, and let's not
Sure.
act like we haven't.
Sure.
Where we look, and the first thing that goes through your head is like, I want one of those like pretzels or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck they
Oh,
are.
yeah.
That's in there.
That's where I jump to.
And then you have to like you're sort of like talking out loud to yourself, like, I wonder what these taste like. I've never had these before.
Yep.
Let's go. I'll just do. Oh, one fell into my hand. I can't put it back, and then I have to put it into my mouth with my tongue. I mean, you know, we've all done that.
bulk bin, I think that's the rule for the bulk bin, and that's why you say it out loud, is that it has to be a new thing. The first time I remember
Right.
I ever went to a Whole Foods or whatever, and they had the strawberry yogurt covered pretzels in a bulk bin. I was like, what?
Was it the jam?
fuck? And I ate like one. I'm like, yeah, and bought a giant bag of them.
Yeah.
And then again, I don't feel like I can comfortably go back in there and be like, I don't know what this is going to taste like anymore. Now I know. Like remember when we did that
They're
stream
not,
here.
Like they're gonna remember
cross-referencing
you,
on-
checking the camera.
Wait a
like,
minute, he was
what
here on
the
October
fuck?
3rd. Hold
It's
on.
a part of your internal pride here, folks. Are you gonna?
You're an
mooch?
honest man.
Yeah, those pretzels aren't free. They gotta get in there. It's like when I went that one time we were doing a stream and you sent me out for snacks, and I came back with the like dried tangerine with like spicy stuff on top. I ate one of those in the store because I needed to know what I was getting into.
hell yeah.
I'm not gonna buy this shoe leather and find out it tastes like shoe leather.
No, it's smart to do that, but it's like, but you feel it's hilarious that like these sort of social constructs, right? Like the morality of these things starts going into play, and yet we find creative ways to sort of disregard them because you don't want to get gypped. You don't want to buy that bag of tangerine, whatever you bought, was
Right.
probably expensive because it came
Sure.
from the bulk bin,
Right.
And if you hadn't tried it and it was disgusting, you would have been very disappointed. It gets a little ridiculous with me though when I will go down and just eat one of everything in the bulk bin. And then you start to realize that you're probably not the only person who's done that before.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking how many hands have been in that bulk bin and how many mouths, or like how much shit is going into my mouth right now, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Shit
No,
in
the shit particles.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Not like
Oh, I was talking
theoretical
feces.
shit. I'm talking like,
Feces club.
Yeah.
straight
There's a lot of
from-
feces in San Francisco. You'll find out the hard way.
Oh, yeah, you're
on
gonna
the
see
way,
it.
I was dropped off by my dad after lunch. Walked in, like hung out in Golden Gate Park. Coming from there, just saw a dude pooping in an alley.
Yeah.
It's San Francisco.
And you're like, I'm walking,
I
I'm
was
going
like,
to this
all right.
podcast.
Yeah.
I'm an adult, my first time on an airplane by myself, and there's just a fucking guy shitting in an alley. Welcome to
Reality hit me
adulthood.
hard in the face and the nose. It all.
yeah, my wife and I play a fun game. And by fun, I mean it's disgusting. You'll walk down the street and look and be like, is that dog shit or human shit? Who knows? Most of the time, it's
50-50.
human shit.
Yeah.
You can see.
Ooh.
It's disgusting. Because most dogs don't. You're like, is that corn?
Okay.
Oh,
Is that a
You're going too
cashew?
far now.
Is
You're going too far here.
that a cashew?
Why
nut?
aren't they digesting the cashew? That should-
Why don't I digest cashews?
Do you
Just
not
as an
digest
aside, a quick sidebar about the cashew.
Sidebar, cashew.
Great nut.
I was at Andronico. It's a
like,
fucking best nut. It's not really technically a nut. Yeah, but It is the best. I'm going to call it a nut. It's like when you say, tomato is a fruit. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Tomato's a vegetable. Everyone knows it's a vegetable. Who cares about the technical shit? Why would you eat a cashew any other way but raw?
I mean, I'll disagree with you on this, but I'll let you
Roasted
finish.
with salt, fucking
Honey
the
roasted
entire
cashews are the
cashew
bomb.
up. The cashew, Kevin, go into the kitchen and get me the bag of cashews on top of the fridge from Andronic.
Why don't you drop a? Yeah, there you go. We got some pleasant.
Sorry,
Thanks,
I don't mean to
Kevin.
disturb you, employee that I pay.
Don't get me wrong. I like the raw cashew.
What are we putting them into? Chinese food dishes? I don't even know where these things are
Just
popping up.
eat them as is.
But what is?
They're on top of the fridge.
It's too tall for them.
They're in a green bag. There's not many of them left.
It's gonna be like when somebody shakes a soda machine, like the fridge just comes down on top of them.
Do you see them?
Kevin,
You okay, bud?
I
he cleaned
wiped
it
I can't walk on it.
It's
because your
it's
socks are
really
too new.
clean.
Your socks are too
Roasted.
clean.
Thank you.
You got those brand new Loot Crate socks. Oh, Porty wants a cashew.
Can you have nuts?
I don't think so. Probably
Now,
not.
this is the essence. That's the essence of nature right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the essence of nature. Just as it is, just as it was meant to be.
Kind of looks
Don't
like a
have
little
to-
cock
in
and
the
balls.
flaccid
It looks like a
form.
little cock and balls,
Why?
right? Yeah.
This is
So
the weird thing to me though. Like,
good.
why do we
Help
consider?
yourself, please.
I will have some in a bit. But you brought up an interesting, Jordan. You brought up an interesting point. You said it's not a nut; it's a legume, right?
Right.
It's a bean, basically. Same with the peanut. Although the peanut, arguably the most popular of all nuts, right?
Peanuts,
The cheapest
yeah,
of all
cheap,
nuts.
exactly.
That's why it's most
I
popular.
don't think
Yeah.
we want it to be the most popular of all nuts, but there it is.
it's so
Do you
weird to
not
me
like
though.
peanuts?
I love peanuts, but I'd rather have a pistachio.
Okay.
They've been coming
Actual
out hard.
nut.
They've been had a hard ad campaign for a long time now. Those pistachio
expensive.
people, they're trying.
I'm a big fan of the
Mr.
macadamia
Pistachio.
nut.
Macadamia nuts are good, but they're fucking expensive.
They are, but I get them at Trader Joe's in like bulk, so it works out well. And then Kevin eats them all.
Is that true, Kev? You're eating all?
I just had 3.
Just had 3. Okay.
They were really good.
It's fine.
Grab more.
Oh, so
Go
when you
get
couldn't
some more.
find
Why don't you
Colin's
bring the
nuts, you were just
macadamia
eating
nuts
his
then?
nuts?
I went straight. I didn't even look. I was
Gotcha.
like, oh, I want some nuts.
You want me to regurgitate it into your mouth?
Like a baby
bucket
bird.
like a
Like
condor.
Ace what is that? What is that?
Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura 2?
So I think we've cracked your case.
So what do we decide? So
It
grapes
has to
are
be
okay.
something that it has to be. It's a fruit small enough that leaves no remnants, and you can eat in one bite. I like that.
That's
Okay.
a great rule. I mean,
That's a great
that
rule.
really nails it.
Right, because
That
there's
will
no.
be the official rule from here going forward.
I'm glad I could leave an impact in your life, Nick.
You did. You nailed it.
We'll get all the local SF grocery stores on the line. Let them know that's not what it is.
I want to see what kind of fruit you can possibly figure out. Like, you're gonna get one of those little organic butter lettuces. You know that you're gonna get.
Just shoving it all the way in.
You could probably get the mini bell peppers in your mouth at one time, but there's gonna be. Well, you can eat the seeds.
I'm gonna.
You have to eat the seeds if you're gonna do it.
Oh, I could totally do that. The question really becomes when you get to the bulk bin, what's the biggest thing in the bulk bin you feel okay eating? Case in point, the Fig Newton. Is that okay?
Okay.
I have a comment / story about the Fig Newton.
'Kay.
That goes back to Andronico's. That goes back to these things, actually, these twisties. You go to the bulk bin at Andronico's, right? You have to write the number.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hate this.
Which is a
Hate
pain in
that.
the ass.
Yeah.
Some old woman ahead of me has the Fig Newtons in a bag, just like this, just like this green Andronico's bag. And she's kind of old and frail, and they're like, well, what is it? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll go look for you. I go and I run out and I look for her, and there's like 4 different varieties of Fig Newtons. So I'm like, all right, it's like the number's 1276 or whatever. And they're like, I come back and I'm like 1276, and they're like, is that the one with the, with the fruit, like the strawberry filling, the raspberry filling? I'm like, I don't know. It's 1276. And they're like, sir, there's 4 different varieties. I'm like, they're all the same price. 1276 is the number, sir. And they finally took it away. That's my. I think Fig Newtons are a little too big to have.
Too big?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
you know what a Fig Newton tastes like.
I've done
Again,
it, though.
Fuck
I've done it.
off.
I've totally
That's
done
fine.
it.
You're stealing from the grocery
I
store.
did. I fucking stole from him.
Right.
I'm a thief.
Do you remember this? There's a classic Simpsons episode about this where there's a thing where Lisa is worried about God and getting into heaven, and Marge samples a grape or whatever, and then she tries to, when Lisa gives her a hard time, so she tries to check out, and the checkout clerk's like, just forget about it. It's like, no, I want to pay for the one grape. And the guy has gonna think, he's like, yeah, Barry, I need a price check on one grape. Yeah, you heard me, one measly grape.
I think there's an amendment to that rule I made.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh my God, we just passed this law and you're changing it?
I think there's a certain, you can fit a Fig Newton in your mouth one go, right?
I can. I've
It's not
done
a
it.
fruit though, even.
That's true.
It's made of fruit.
And
Cake, fruit and cake. We know.
But if like ratio wise, it's probably more. No, it's more cake than it. I can't rationalize.
maybe half and half.
Maybe half and half. You're right.
Well, there has to be a certain like barrier to entry to enter your mouth. Like it has to be a certain smallness.
Okay.
Because you can fit a lot of things in your mouth in one go.
You've
Especially
heard of me. Yeah. He knows me. All right, Kevin.
I think you were getting into semantics. The bulk bin, the rule of just common culture is I don't know. I've never had this. I need to know what it tastes like.
Okay.
That's the sampling.
Okay. Then I'm in the right then because I had not had that particular like
Fuck.
whole wheat fig Newton. It was like an organic whole wheat fig
maybe I'll
Newton.
give you-
I was
I'll
like,
give this
this
to you.
might taste like shit. Now,
It was delicious though, wasn't it?
oh, it was.
Yeah.
Did I get any more of them?
No.
No.
You've had your
You son of a
No, I
bitch.
never actually tasted anything at a like. So I have one. I remember this scarred story from when I was a young man. This is maybe 1989.
Yeah.
You weren't even
1988.
alive yet.
What's
Young
that?
buck.
When was that?
I went to Finest. It's a supermarket
No
chain that does
fur
not
on your
exist
rocks.
anymore.
Okay.
It turned into Edwards, which turned into Stop and Shop or some shit. Now it's still whatever it is. And they had like I didn't even like candy, but they had it was like Halloween time, and they had like the little Smartie things, I guess,
Oh,
right? Like
Smarties suck.
like a little thing. And I remember
Yeah.
just taking one and then immediately confessing in the car to my mom that I took one, and I felt really bad. And she was like, "It's okay. Like you made a mistake, and it's not like going to be the end of the world." And ever since that point, at 4 years old, 1988, never took a thing from anyone ever again. Not even from the bulk bin. Not even to try a fruit. Because I'm paying for that crime to this day, Kevin.
You've tried something from the bulk bin.
I'm paying for that crime to this day.
Oh, do you think that's why you're cursed? Again, this is just like I was talking about with the Buffy Angel reference, where you're just cursed. You can never have true happiness again based on one thing.
I was
If you ever
happy until
you'll-
that point.
You'll turn evil again.
That was the last time you were happy.
Yep, 1988.
This topic was brought to you by GameFly. Are you ready to save money and play more games? Then let me introduce you to our sponsor, GameFly. GameFly is the best way to rent all your favorite games before you try them. You can rent movies now too, Nick. Don't worry about it. Fun. They are the leading video game rental service. They have over 9,000 titles to choose from, and you can keep the games as long as you want. Go to gamefly.com/kindafunny and start your free premium 30-day trial today. The premium trial allows you to check out 2 games and or movies at a time. You can only get this offer by visiting gamefly.com/kindafunny. Now go sign up and start playing all your favorite games absolutely free for 30 days. Jordan,
Yes.
as our guest, what's your topic now that we've gotten through the craziness of fruits?
Yeah, after that one,
Yeah.
gonna bring us down a little bit.
No, you're going to bring it up. You're going to bring
Bring it
up the level of conversation.
Bring it up. Trans rights. Topical thing. Last Friday, as of this recording, the White House put out an executive order that any public school that didn't let students go to the bathroom that they identify as will have public funding pulled.
Sure.
So this very quickly became a point of contention in my little town of Iowa.
But you're all hippies, you said. You all meditate and stuff.
It's very split. It's either you're a hippie or a roo, as we call them.
Rue.
For short for guru.
Okay.
I think I'd like your town a lot. I just want you to know that. It sounds very relaxing.
So it's split
Except
there.
for the trans fucking war that's about to break out.
I will pee. I will pee wherever I want to pee. There is no fucking state law. I peed in the women's bathroom so many
Portela, come
times.
here.
It's ridiculous. I did it like 2 days ago. Sorry, continue. And the family bathroom. The family bathroom is a fucking bomb. No,
All right.
no one's running around. You can't smell or hear someone else shitting. It's great.
You got the ruse.
Sorry, informed
Got
today.
there, and then we got like the it's that town, and then all around it
The squares.
farm area.
Oh, okay. Oh, the hillbillies.
Sure.
Okay.
My public school friends will not be happy with that. But
You don't have to see them anymore. You're homeschooled now. They're
So-
dead to you. Move on.
So this specifically at my public school, which is obviously a lot bigger than the small little private school that we have.
Sure.
Immediately, I believe they went for a school thing for like band and choir. I came back. One of the trans students' cars was vandalized. I think tires were like slashed and stuff. Just a horrible, horrible shit. This like tension only got worse throughout the week, where people were like wearing like I think everyone was like, okay, we're gonna wear black armbands to signify that we are pro trans rights. The people who were really against that had very much missed the mark, and they decided instead of that they're going to wear red armbands.
Great color combo, black and red.
Yeah. So I think they realized
Not good.
their slight miscalculation the next day because they wore white shirts. And
Jesus.
that was that. It was bad. It was bad.
What the? How do you make that kind of mistake? You're like, we're gonna all wear red armbands.
Yeah, no, that's
On our white shirts. Maybe put a
Stand
white
up for
dot
what's
on it.
right.
Yeah,
Might
yeah.
as well wear brown shirts at that point.
yeah. They then they're like students suspended for wearing like just straight up offensive stuff, like saying like I think birth gender is right gender, like sharpied onto a white shirt. It got bad.
Yeah.
And then everyone else wore blue shirts and to stand with all the trans students. And
How many trans students are ballparking?
I know 3.
Okay.
There's probably a few more. Actually, I know 4.
See,
But yeah, I kind of want your guys' opinion on that. I have a feeling that we're all kind of on the same page
Yeah.
here. But just, because there is ultimately a reasonable argument to have for like specifically bathroom things of like the mother with the 9-year-old daughter being like, I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
want-
you're referencing the news story. What is it? It's not North Carolina. What is it North Carolina? And how they're trying to. Is it still? Are they still trying to pass the law where you have
I
to
think it
go
was
to wherever
vetoed.
it was vetoed? Okay.
I think so.
Sorry, I'm not as up to speed on this subject as I can, but it is tough. It's a complex issue, but I mean, the thing is, like, the thing that's enlightening to me is that 3 people who are transgendered, and you are 17 years old. When I was 17 years old, I didn't know any gay people. There was not even one person who felt confident coming out in high school. Now we knew people that I was in theater and band, so it was a little bit more of an accepting culture, and so you knew people that you would. There were assumptions that could be made, and you weren't non-judgmental, but you were like, okay, I'm pretty sure that person's one way or another, and eventually maybe they'll be able to come out. And lo and behold, a few of my friends actually, when they got into college, a lot more of an accepting culture actually came out of the closet and told everyone they were gay, and I was like, great, I'm glad you're happy. But what's crazy to me is that as hard as it is, I think, to come out back then, it must be even harder now to tell people that you're transgendered or that you identify one way or the other.
Sure, because you're fighting. That whole fight's being fought again.
Right,
Right.
it's
People
not-
don't understand this.
Yeah,
and think they do.
yeah,
And think it's
exactly.
against God and all these different things.
So we are at a very interesting time period right now where it seems like a really long time ago that gay marriage was legalized, but it wasn't. This has all happened. What was that, like 2 years ago? I'm looking at you. I can't remember, Colin.
For what
Can't remember.
specifically?
Gay
Gay marriage legalization.
Oh yeah, well the
less than 2 years ago.
yeah
right?
yeah not even.
Yeah, so there's a lot happening, but we are in,
Not even a year ago, I don't
unfortunately,
think,
people who are transgendered right now who are choosing to identify that to the rest of the world are bearing the brunt of this, unfortunately. And this is I honestly believe this is like that sort of revolution that's happening right now. And it sucks even for people as enlightened as us, because it's hard for me to understand what someone like that is transgender is going through. I can't wrap my head around it because you can't ever put yourself in that person's shoes, right? But I do remember a time where it was hard for me to accept people who were gay. Like, not in I would never go as far as to vandalize someone's car, but when you're young and you're stupid and you're in a small environment of just a bunch of dudes who, you don't really have that outside perspective, you do engage in that kind of language. Remember, like we always talk about, like,
Yeah,
growing
sure,
up, all of us thought it was okay to call someone a fag. We just thought it was okay.
I don't like something, so it's gay.
It's gay. You're
I don't
a fag.
mean it's homosexual, but and I don't mean that you're a gay
Right.
person, but like that's just no, sure, those are synonyms,
Right.
right? That this is bad and that you're stupid, and you can't, but you don't know that till you meet someone who's
Yeah,
able to say that.
exactly.
And so to do that, and that's the whole thing, we get the benefit of hindsight of being your age and not knowing any gay people, openly gay people. And I remember getting to college and talking that way, and then that's when I'm meeting my first friends who are gay, and like, let's stop, and I'm not mad. I know what you mean, but let's talk about it. Let's
Right.
talk about why you're doing it. You sit there and you eventually go, oh yeah, right. So to have that conversation and try to dial it back when I was a stupid 15 to 18-year-old or whatever, Jesus, I can only imagine. And that's what gets crazy about me, I feel like, or it gets crazy to me, I should say, is when I'll talk to not, I mean, it sounds weird. Rational adults I respect, right? Who then go on to the whole thing of like, but yeah, we cannot be letting these bathrooms, they got to stay out of the bathrooms. I'm like, why? Like, what if they came in and what if they raped these people? I'm like, you're missing the point here. And I don't think you like, I can understand because I feel like for them, they're probably where I was with gays, until I met a gay person, whatever. We're lucky enough to work in an industry where we are open and there are all these different things, and I know a bunch of transgendered people through the industry. And I remember the first transgender person I met was years and years and years, and I mean before it was even like a thing where I was ever cognizantly thinking about people being like, I'm going to go change my life. And we met this person and that was going to be their choice, and I was like, oh, we all looked around and we're like, cool, congratulations, that's awesome. And it wasn't like a thing, but we were also adults. So I can understand that in my world, that's something that's happening and brand new to me. I can only imagine being a parent of someone my age. No, that's not right. Yeah, that's right. Being a parent with grown children who then you've never met somebody who's trans, and all you do read are the articles, and you do just think of fucking somebody looks like Nick putting on a wig and going into the women's related room and be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Like that's not how it is at all, right? There's so many steps in the fucking things people have to go through for this.
Well, I'll always, it is complex, and I'm not going to sit here and say that people who are parents don't have the right to protect their children. I don't have children, so I can't really put myself in their shoes. But I have seen some weird fucking dudes in the men's bathroom. I literally saw a guy masturbating in a bathroom once at the Westfield Mall. I've never gone back to that bathroom. He was sitting at a urinal masturbating.
But that is a hot mall.
It's something. I mean, it gets you walk in, and just get kind of
your
juices going.
They got a Mrs. Fields cookies over here. Oh Lord!
I don't actually think they have Mrs. Fields cookies. That's the one drawback of that mall. Great Nordstrom though. But I mean, I've seen fucking perverts in the men's room, right? So I mean, to think that you're now, but for some reason allowing a whole other there's a flood of people out there that are just waiting to be molesters sitting on and then the law passes like, yes, now we can finally. I'm like, dude, no, it's not. That's not. If someone's going to be a pervert, they're going to be a fucking pervert no matter what their gender, what gender they identify with.
But this is the loaded nature of this argument, right? And this is where the bigotry comes in, I think, is that there are some connotations with people that are against trans rights or against people being trans or whatever, transgender, that think it is perverted, that think it is
similar to how people thought being gay was perverted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so to me, the issue is actually quite congruent with gay marriage or just being gay. The argument for me was always, and I'm not saying that you are necessarily gay if you are a transgender or anything, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the argument's the same in my mind. People would often make the argument back in the day, and they don't make it anymore because I think it's biologically proven or whatever, that, being gay is a choice, right? Or being gay is biological, and you see kind of homosexuality, even nature, right? With like animals and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's a bad argument and it doesn't matter because first of all, it's clearly not a choice. I don't know why anyone would choose in 1970 to come out as gay in a fucking society that would want to ruin their lives.
Right.
Any more than I would understand why someone would really want to come out as transgendered in 2016 as just a choice. I'm just going to do it. Everyone's going to fucking be mad about it, and it's a whole culture war around it. But yeah, it's a choice. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it doesn't pass the smell test, right? But
even if they do, it's their right to do that.
Exactly. It's a question of liberty. The point is that even if being gay or even if being transgendered were choices and not biological, and I don't believe that they are choices. I believe that they are biological. The biological imperative. I think there's things in people's minds we do not understand. We do not understand the human brain. It is a matter of liberty. And if someone who was born a man, if all they ask of society is like, I just want to be known as she now, and maybe I want to have surgery, or maybe I just want to wear women's clothing and just live my life as a woman, what does it matter to anyone? I don't understand this argument. It's the same argument about, homosexuality and gay marriage and all this kind of stuff, where they're like, if a man wants to be with another man, and everyone's consenting and everything's on the up and up just as a normal relationship, then what does it matter? It doesn't matter. And I feel the same way about polygamy, and I feel the same way about all these kinds of things where I'm like, if a man wants to marry 5 women and they're all into it, cool.
Jesus, don't do it. Don't do it.
So to me,
one's enough.
So to me, it's like, to me, I take it to the nth degree where it's to me, it's the same thing we talk about with prostitution or drug legalization and stuff. I'm like, just let people make their own choices, and if they fuck up in some sort of legal way or hurt or infringe on someone else's rights, then that is the problem that we have to take up as a society. Right. But your problem is not a person who was born a man wanting to identify as a woman or vice versa. And I think it's such a nonsense culture war, yet it is a culture war. And the problem with it is that it's complicated because gay marriage and just gay and coming out of the closet is pretty straightforward. We all understand that, right? It reminds me of, and I don't want to spoil Mad Men, but it reminds me of an early Mad Men episode where the Cuban guy is like, you kind of know that he's gay, but then the
art director.
Yeah,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
but then he like sees him like going into a guy's room in a hotel or something like that, and it just kind of reminded me that, you know, it's fiction, but it kind of reminded me that even in the 50s, even in a very dark time in American history in terms of civil rights, whether you're a minority, whether you're gay, obviously, people knew that this shit was going on around them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were keeping each other's secrets and all these kinds of things. So it's not like this is a new thing, a new phenomenon. We always knew that existed. We knew that existed for hundreds of years. And this is now a thing that's accepted in society as it should be, right? I always talk about in 2008 when we voted for gay marriage. People that are not in California, just not politically cognizant, don't know. Like in 2008, gay marriage was voted down in California. So this was and it lost bad. So this was what was it, Prop 8
Yeah,
or something
Prop
like that. And so it's an idea that people have recently, or a majority, a plurality of people have recently gotten their minds around. Yeah, we all know a gay person. We all understand that they're normal, everyday people just like us. We all understand that they just want to live a normal life like anyone else. Their sexuality doesn't differentiate themselves. But with being transgendered, it's simply harder for people to wrap their heads around, right? And there's some verbiage you have to kind of learn. And I think that there's, to be fair, people that want to learn and want to accept are kind of smashed down sometimes by not using the right, you know, terminology or whatever. And so I think like a person that's like, you know, calling a woman who's transitioning to a man, she's still like, they're not trying to be offensive. They don't know what to say.
Right.
You know, like so there needs to be some education and some patience as society starts to learn these things. I think the bathroom thing is a total cop out because if a person wants to hurt another person, are they really going to transition into another gender in order to get into a public bathroom in order to hurt them? It doesn't make sense. It's such fucking nonsense.
When you get crazy about it, right, is the people are like, well, I'm not worried about the people who are really transitioning. I'm worried about the people who would fake to come in and do it. And it's like, if that's your concern, that could literally happen right now.
Yeah.
And the same argument will apply where most people are so, I don't want to start trouble. If a guy walked into a ladies' room dressed as a girl and you were like, I don't think that, I'm talking about right now, and throwing trans out of it. You don't even think that it's a transgender. You just think it's a guy in a dress and a wig. You're like, you probably wouldn't start shit. You would leave, maybe tell somebody whatever, but that's still the same threat later on. And what's going to be interesting is, you know, the school thing right now with the funding or whatever, you're going to get guys who are going to be like, Father, I'm going to the girls' room. My gender is well, and like, they're clearly not. And that's when you got to sit there and be like, no, you're not. And not that there's like some kind of test to it, right? But clearly you're trying to abuse the system, make this into this. You're like, what are you fucking doing? Like, why do you have to take it to this fucking twisted thing to make see? Look at my point. I now identify as a female, so I'm going to walk in there.
Yeah, it's absurd. And you know, I think I'm not much for the federal government overextending its powers over the states, but I do think that by issuing an executive order, it probably was the right thing. Whether or not it has legal teeth ultimately, if one of the states wanted to challenge it, I don't know. But it reminds me a lot of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, where people would argue against it, not necessarily because they were racist, although some of them were, but because they were like, does the federal government even have the right to do this? And to me, it's like, I believe in a small federal government. The Grover Norquist idea, the federal government should be so small you can drown it in a bathtub. I always really liked that saying. Yet the federal government's
kind of brutal.
Yeah, I love that. I love that saying though. Like, you should know exactly what the federal government's doing. It should be very small.
Yeah.
But I think one of the important functions of the federal government is to say, like, listen, when the states are really fucking up and when something is unconstitutional or inherently bigoted or inherently discriminatory, as I think this is, we have to step in and do something, even if maybe it wouldn't necessarily pass constitutional muster per se. Are you really going to challenge the 1964 Civil Rights Act in the Supreme Court? You know, because it doesn't. And I feel like this is a similar, maybe not as overstated sort of thing, where it's like the federal government is saying, like, listen, we should probably be on the right side of history of this. The people look at the United States as a backwards place socially in a lot of ways, and I actually disagree. I think it takes us longer to get certain places, but there are shithole places around the world where it's illegal and you can be killed for being gay. There are places in the world where you can't, if you're a woman, you can't show your face, you can't drive a fucking car. You know, we actually have a great, like, as a society, a long running history of respecting women, and we have a long running history now of trying to respect minorities. Although not everyone is obviously on board with that. We're a very big country with a lot of racists in it still, but we should probably try to be on board with being less bigoted about homosexuality, about gay marriage, and just people being gay, about these kinds of things, transgendered. And the federal government's basically dragging everyone into the 21st century, being like, let's remember that we should be a beacon and a bastion of freedom and liberty. And that was the point I was trying to make before. Whether being gay, whether being transgendered is a choice or not, and clearly, by the way, it's not a fucking choice. But if you want to make that argument, it doesn't matter.
Well, then the counter argument, if anybody, because that you said like that, you think it's been stamped out. It hasn't. That's still a thing. But the counter argument always is that you meet somebody who's like, oh, being gay is a choice. I'm like, great. When did you choose to be straight?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's a biological thing. It's a biological imperative. You can't. It's hard to overcome those things. And if people want to be themselves, and if it makes them more comfortable to be like, I was a boy or I was a man, and but I'm a woman. I'm a woman inside, or whatever. Does that really affect your life any more than the man marrying another man affects your life? Any more than the guy, who chooses to smoke marijuana affects your life or anything like that? It's like, get out of everyone's business and let everyone live their lives. They're not hurting anyone. A person who's transitioning is trying to be a happy, productive member of society. Would you rather them be productive members of society, paying their taxes, working a job, having maybe a family one day? Or would you rather them be depressed and on medication because they can't be themselves and they can't function and they can't work because they're not comfortable being out, or they're not comfortable being themselves? It's an infuriating, nonsense, fucking dark ages argument. And I'm so sick of it. Where like we just need to get over these things already. There's nothing righteous about arguing against this stuff. There's nothing righteous about it. You are wrong, and you are going to be on the wrong side of history. As sure as shit. As sure as the people who voted for Prop 8, as sure as the people who did all these things, you will be on the wrong side of history, and you will be looked at as an asshole and a bigot.
For your school, Jordan, back in Iowa, this is all popping off. This is happening in your community. Is it split 50-50? Is there a majority saying this? Why do we care about this? Or we do care about this?
I don't know. Because I was homeschooling. I live fairly close to the school, but from what I saw, it was like unfortunately close to 50-50 or leaning towards the other side.
Sure.
But not that being said, it wasn't like 50-50 being like I hate transgender people, and then 50-50, then the other half being like,
I love transgender people.
let me put it in terms that like, and I don't mean to make light of it, but it's just it's an interesting, funny way to put it, a humorous way to put it. We talk about VR all the time, right? How VR is like one of these things where it's like it's hard to show what it means to play VR or to be in VR. You have to kind of play it. You have to kind of know it. And to me, it's like, okay, we know transgendered people, right?
We do.
And when I moved, and I was talking about, the gay marriage thing, whatever, I lived with a bunch of gay, I lived in a house of gay guys when I lived here for 3 years. Like, so I got really a firsthand account, not only of gay men, but also some of, a couple of the guys had HIV and a couple of the guys, like, so it was like, I got really like at 22 or 23 years old, I'm like, this is what, this subculture might be about. Let me learn about this. Let me understand this perspective. I never had this perspective before. And it taught me a great deal about that. And I think that the VR reference here is interesting because it's like, the transgender thing doesn't make sense, the transgender thing, but it's like, oh, did you know that your friend Barry that you haven't seen in 5 years is now identifies as a woman? And does that change how your affection for this person and all your memories with this person and all these kinds of things? In other words, I think the hearts and soul kind of thing is going to have to take time with this particular issue, similar to the gay marriage issue and similar to these other issues where it's like, oh, I know a gay man, or I went to a gay wedding ceremony and it's just totally normal and everyone's happy and they're just trying to be humans and they're just trying to function in society. I think it's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of education. And as I said, on the other side, a little bit of patience, just a little bit of patience and everything's going to be fine. And we always talk about the next civil rights thing. It was, from post-Civil War and Reconstruction into Jim Crow into separate but equal into the Civil Rights Act. And then we went into, the 30-year struggle for gay rights. And then we moved into this very sudden and, as Greg said, almost jarring struggle for transgendered rights. And shouldn't we just get to a point where we don't have to fucking deal with any civil rights things anymore because we just accept that people are going to live their lives as they live them, and as long as they're not hurting anyone else?
Cool, you're human too. Awesome.
Yeah, what is the big deal? That's the question about that. Like, it does not hurt you. It does not affect you. Fuck off.
Right. Well, I think that's where it comes from, right? A lot of people, it comes from a place of fear. It just comes from a place of not understanding. Everyone they don't understand. We fear what we don't understand, right? But it's similar to gay marriage. It's one of those things where I'm like, this is all additive to society. It's not going to take anything away from anyone. It's going to get more money, more weddings, more all this. There's nothing bad. It's not going to take anything away from you because you're a straight person who's married. Like, I'm married. I've been married for 4 years. People get married. Gay people get married around me all the time. I don't even know what's happening, right? It has no effect on me whatsoever. Good for them. They're going to hopefully be happy the rest of their lives. This is a little bit more of a complex issue because paranoia plays into it. But at the same time, isn't this sort of kind of like laws are supposed to be passed to protect people, and I understand how people feel like this might protect, their sons or daughters, or from quote unquote perverts. But at the same time, isn't it also alienating a huge group? Isn't it also sort of telling people who are transgender that you're guilty by association?
Yeah.
And isn't that kind of wrong? Like, shouldn't we not be passing laws that allow that to happen?
No, it's a cop-out move. It is a cop-out move of the fear of not understanding them and then making this boogeyman. Those boogeymen and women already exist. You talk about this creeper in the men's room masturbating.
He was kicking it.
There's weirdos. There's shit weirdo females in the women's restroom being fucking weird. Everybody's like, what the hell's wrong with that person?
Yeah.
Those people are there, and if they wanted to, they can go in the other bathroom and be just as creepy and weird.
Yep.
Like it's a fact of life, and the fact that it doesn't happen every day. That some fucking dude runs into the woman's room and kick down the door and take a photo or some shit like that, like, should show you enough of like why we don't need to be fucking terrified that this is finally gonna the one
there's
thing
no
that
reason
was
why that
stopping
would
him.
switch there.
Because now the guy would run in, kick down the door, take the photo, like, what are you fucking doing? I identify as a female. Oh, then okay. Sorry, my apologies.
Damn it.
Yeah,
Got me.
I think the argument just kind of doesn't hold up to me. But
Agreed.
Yeah, let's just, we can only speak from an American-centric kind of point of view, but let's not, as I was saying before, let's not be late on this one. Let's be like on the right side of history immediately with this. It's just the right thing to do, and history is a serious thing, and people will remember those that were on the wrong side. And I'm not saying that you can't have, like I said, this is a complicated issue. It's way more complex than a lot of the social issues we deal with, but it's not that complicated. Like, it takes just a little bit more thought. That's basically it. Like, and then you get to the same logical conclusion, and it's just like, yes, the person you knew who was once a man now wants to identify as a woman. Wow. What a major fucking seismic shift in your life that's really going to ruin everything for you and for society. The same thing with like the sanctity of marriage. Yeah, marriage is so sacred that my parents are divorced, Greg's parents are divorced, Greg is divorced just in this room.
Yeah.
Very sacred institution in America, marriage.
Straight marriages don't fail.
It's like, fuck off.
So, Colin, do you think this is actually like one of the last civil rights movements?
You have to assume it will be. Until
then the aliens come.
No, I think it's funny because it goes a lot to like actually the upcoming David Cage game and a lot of other things where it might be
Detroit.
AI and stuff like that might be a big one in the far flung, maybe not in the far flung future, maybe in the 2030s, 2040s or something like that. But I think that in terms of humanity, like we're all synthesizing slowly, right? Like the idea that eventually in thousands of years there will be no races, there will be no, there'll be males and females probably, but we'll all be kind of this homogenous sort of, or more homogenous sort of group. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't, but I just feel like we're becoming very rapidly more accepting of each other around us. That's why I'm confident that the transgendered struggle will be ended and solved way quicker than the gay struggle, which was solved way quicker than the black issue in America.
You figure part of that's just our access to each other now, right? And the ability to talk to each other, and the ability of, like, I remember, this is fucking history shit for you that you would have to read about. But remember when Real World San Francisco happened, Pedro Zamora was on it, and he was gay and he had AIDS or HIV. He had HIV, but he died right as as the finale aired, and at his funeral they played a message from President Bill Clinton, who said like, the power of Pedro is the fact that now no one in America can say they don't know, so they've never met somebody who's gay or has AIDS or HIV or whatever. Like, and that's what it is. It's like, now that there are so many people's struggles in so many avenues and so many ways to talk to them, hear their stories, that's when it all starts. You get to change quicker. Yeah. Still painful, but
and I
quicker.
think that we just go a long way with accepting each other. I mean, like, there's a lot of reasons to judge a person, and there are a lot of reasons to hate a person even, but it shouldn't be based on these like very fundamental aspects of a person's being, It's just not appropriate. You can not like a person or hate a person because they did you wrong on an individual level, or they're just assholes. There are plenty of fucking straight assholes in the world, guaranteed. And there are a lot of gay assholes in the world too, I'm sure, But like, we just have to find better ways to deal with each other on a societal level, and these little constructs and these little homes that we put each other, these little categories that we put each other in. It's just eventually these walls are going to break down.
Right.
That's just inevitable. And we should be willing to lead the charge, and it shouldn't be a political issue, even though it is. Everything's a political issue in the United States, but it shouldn't even be a political issue. And it's the same argument I made about gay marriage and all this other kind of stuff, where it's like, if the Republican Party was smart, this would actually be their cause, because it's a cause of liberty. It is liberty. The Democrats are the ones that are supposed to tell you what you're supposed to be doing. The Republicans are supposed to be the ones that tell you that you should be doing whatever you want. But there's some sort of mix-up in the way we look at social issues specifically, where I'm like, none of this makes any sense. Yeah, take your assault rifle. You can have that and fuck the government and fuck taxes, but you better not marry that gay man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, what is that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know? Yeah, low taxes, the government's gonna stay out of your business and out of your bedroom, but you better not be transgendered. You know? And it's like, what the hell is that? Just follow the logical conclusion to the end and you'll find that it's the same every time.
It's just inconsistent.
It's totally inconsistent and it's wildly annoying to me. You know,
We'll be the change you want to see.
absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. Be the change you want to see, Nick.
I try to.
That's a good way of
Every
putting
day.
and that's a good reason why everyone's like, well, why do you still identify with that party? I'm like, because I am going to be the change that I want this party to.
I'm about to vote for
Yeah,
you
your
when
party's
you're
gonna
of
blow
age.
up. You'll start the new party.
It might.
If you're 35
Keep
right
going.
now, I
This
would
is
write
just
you
fine
in.
with Donald Trump
Moriarty
in
Miller?
office. Yeah, I can run next time. I can run for the House now.
We're in. It's happening.
I can run for the Senate too.
Can I be your campaign manager?
You have no idea how to run a campaign, so no, I don't.
Neither does Donald Trump, but he is fucking killing it, and
That's
I would
true.
crush it. I would just hire Tim as my co-campaign manager, and you would have an amazing social feed.
My topic.
Yes.
What I want to know, and I don't know how this is going to play for you because I don't know much about you and your family tree as it would be. But I was thinking the other day, because of course there was this hit topic on the GameOverGreggy show called Grandma Miller and the sickly raccoon. If I'm lying, I'm dying. No, but I started thinking about it the other day and grandparents, and I was thinking about the fact that I would love to have a conversation with my grandfather. And when I say that, I mean my mom, Jim Kennedy, my mom's dad. And the fact that I only knew him when I was a child. You know what I mean? My dad's dad died when my dad was a child, so no connection there whatsoever. Grandma Miller passed away when I was in high school. So again, I'm not an adult, but I got to, I feel like, go through a progression with her where I wasn't, playing with as many action figures, as you'd say, by the time she passed away. But like, Poppy.
Write that down.
Jim Kennedy.
Yes.
Poppy himself. Like, he passes away, and I'm bad with everything like this. Must have been junior high-ish, but early junior high, sixth grade, somewhere in there maybe or whatever. So to now sit here and think about like all the questions I'd want to ask him and have him on the GameOverGreggy show and do one of those one-on-ones, have a beer with him, talk to him, because I feel like we would have gotten along as adult males, but we never had that chance, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know if what you guys think on all that, because like for me, I'd want to talk to him about World War II, right? I have his Purple Heart in my thing.
really?
Yeah. He did the Normandy thing. He did all this crazy shit, and I saw the photos, and I think probably interviewed him for some shitty, when you're writing on the giant, like the not loose leaf line paper, but the giant line paper. I was like, my poppy did that. You know what I mean? Like, but not like
My poppy killed 12 Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. I only know that shit. Like, what the
he has
fuck?
their ears on a string.
Like, what was that like to do that and live that life and see the world change as much as it did when he was around? You know what I mean? To have me sitting there playing with fucking a Game Boy or whatever, or have the first computer in the house that he was in or stuff like that. But then just to get, to hear what it would have been like to see, Glen Ellen and the area around it in Chicago evolve into what it was and what that would have been like for him. Because I just think about it now of like, this stems from the Grandma Miller, a sickly raccoon, and thinking about my family or whatever, but then so much of just the fact of like what we do, right? Of like, our jobs are to sit here and do this and and you start peeling back through, you're like, what? My dad is his heavy equipment operator, right? Yep. And then my grandfather was this veteran who did all these different jobs and, I think worked on roofs and stuff, so they get all this stuff. Did I nail it?
Greg talks about all the fruit that you can eat in the
we
grocery store.
talk about
legally.
like, hey, what's this? And like,
Well, first off, I think we offer an invaluable service to society.
Okay. We definitely take their mind off their real problems.
If you're trying to draw a parallel that we're not real men because our fathers...
No. That's the funny thing.
How
is like,
dare you?
the real men definition and shit like that, it's, changed and evolved. Even when you like watch men, I know, but it's part of the point. It is part of the point of like, we definitely are the generation or whatever that just stepped up and like, sorry, we like wearing jeans and t-shirts. That's what we're doing. Fuck you. Like, that's what we do now. Yeah. It's not just like what we do when we're gardening outside anymore. No offense to gardening, but I just remember that was like, when my dad wanted to go fuck around in the yard or whatever, some garbagey t-shirt and whatever, something looking like this.
Yeah, that's true. I think my grandfather's generation I don't remember seeing any of those people in jeans. They were never in denim. Like denim was like the holy water to their vampire, right? If they hit denim, they would just melt away. It was always polyester.
Yeah, it was polyester.
They were always
yeah.
and I imagine, because I never knew my grandfather. This is a great topic, by the way, because I never knew any of my grandfathers. Actually, I have three. My mother was adopted and brought over, and so I had three sets of grandparents. I knew my grandmothers quite well, but both of my grandfathers had passed away before. I think one of them, the last one, had died before I was even when I think I was 1. So there's a picture of me as a baby with him, but that's pretty much it. And I look exactly like him now, not then, although he was bald. So there was a parallel back then as well. So it's fascinating that you bring that up, just because I don't know anything about him, literally, like nothing about. I know he was a navigator on a bomber in World War II. He got my dad stationed, I think, at March Air Force Base during Vietnam, so he very well may have saved his life. He was an accountant and a lawyer. I mean, I would just basically want to like start from the beginning. What the fuck? Like, what brought you out here? From Jersey to California, like, why did you do that? I don't know any of the answers to this. And whenever I ask, that was a generation of people that didn't talk. So when I ask my parents about it, they don't really know the answer. They're like, well, you said this. I'm like, that doesn't really hold up. Like, I don't understand why that, why that would do that. And I wanted to ask, I think I'd want to ask him if he was happy.
Right.
No,
that's a big part of it.
That was a generation that happiness didn't really even factor into their decision making, right?
They hunkered down, marry someone, have some
children, right?
Provide.
And that, and to what you were saying earlier, that came all the way till my generation, our generation, where my parents, in order to leave the house, had to be married. So they couldn't leave the house. Like, my grandfather was like, no, you're not leaving this house until you've got a marriage proposal on the table. I don't care how old you are. And I think my dad left when he was 21 after college, got married, moved right in with my mom. They got married. They were 21 years old, and it was like pumped out kids. And so my grandfather my dad comes from a family of 5. So he's got two brothers and 2 sisters. That's astronomical to me. Like, growing, and they grew up in like a 3-bedroom house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did you make all this work?
Right.
And my grandfather apparently was an accountant who went to school at night for to get his law degree, and then ran a law practice in San Diego. So I was like, what the fuck is, like, what's going on here? Like, why San Diego? Why this? Did you have another family now? Like, I would not be surprised if there's a whole other batch of Scarpinos that look exactly kind of like me that are running around like in San Diego. Maybe I'll run into them one day. But yeah, I mean, I think probably most likely I would have wanted to know about about the war and just his experience there, and his experience being in the Air Force during arguably the most important war of the last 1,000 years. Like, what was that like? What was it like knowing that you were a part of a giant machine that had to kill?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, it's such a big, that's what we know about them, right? The greatest generation, right? That they had to do these and make the sacrifices, but to get down to the nitty gritty of like what day-to-day life was like, and what did you look forward to when you came home, right? Like, I want to finish everything and just play video games, right? It's like, what was that like for you, and how did you start smoking? And was all these different little shit like that? Yeah.
He had an office. My grandfather Scarpino had an office right when you would walk into their house. To the left was like you'd walk into the entryway, and to the right was like the living room, and it was like the kitchen and dining room in there, and then he'd have this little office that was off. And I was always fascinated by it because it was like a time capsule, right? Like, this was a guy's office that I never knew, and you looked in there, and you know how like grandmothers, and when mothers turn into grandmothers, they do the same thing that the grandmothers used to do, where they keep everything sort of like vacuum locked, right? Like, your room was the same it used to be back in the day. And I would walk in there, and like, case in point, I found a pack of this. I was a shit kid that was smoking cigarettes behind my parents' back, and you'd find like packs of cigarettes from Air Force One, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, where did this come from, right? And chances are someone just they would hand it down, someone had it or whatever, gave it away, and then he eventually got it to my dad, and then I eventually smoked him, and my dad was not happy about that. They were disgusting because it was like basically like lighting a bale of hay on fire. I just kind of lit it. That was it. I tried to refill them later, but I was like, I didn't really understand it or whatever. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, it was crazy. I know I would go play in there. My grandmother would always have sort of an odd reaction to it, right? Because this is a husband she hadn't really had in 15, 20 years. And so she would be like, don't break anything, don't touch anything. Like, this is all I have to remember him by. And I was like, this is a treasure trove. Like, this is all I have to remember this guy by too, right? And no one will talk to me. And there's like 2 pictures of the guy that I've ever seen. One was him older, and the other was him in his his Air Force uniform. This standard sepia toned standing, trying to smile as best as he could, you know, because they didn't they didn't take pictures a lot back then.
Yeah.
Because I guess the technology took like months.
Someone looked at him while he did, and they just like carved it in stone.
But I mean, to your point too, and I'll shut up about my grandfather. Was that he just seemed fucking cool.
That's the thing, is my grandfather seemed really cool, and I only know him as my grandfather.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about being a kid, right, I only knew him as my grandfather at the end of his life, when he was a sickly old man, you know, and after multiple strokes and surgeries and emphysema and all these different things. Those are my memories of him. You know, and my mom's memories of him are just like my memories of my mom, right? But even then, it's the same thing, where my memories of my mom really start when she's a full-grown adult and all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, I think last show or 2 shows ago, right? That like in terms of my mother, right now I'm 33. So when she was 33, I was 3 years old, right? And to think about what an idiot I am now, to see like, you know, like you start I know my mom is an adult, but what was she like there as a young mother, as a newlywed, as all these different things? Like we can talk to them about that, but then to try to even think about peeling that back for Poppy, I don't even know how to begin that.
I know. What's crazy is I don't even know anything about my other 2 grandfathers. I met my grandfather, my grandpa Paolini, a couple times because I went to Italy, but I don't remember very much. Then my grandfather Rinaldi, I don't even know what he looks like. It's weird.
He could be in San Diego right now.
No, they were older. My mother was adopted by her aunt, actually. So actually, technically speaking, one of my grandmothers is my great aunt.
Okay.
And so when she died, I mean, I was maybe 5 or 6, and she was 85, and so she was very old. She was the one who was. That was, I mean, you're talking about a generation. She was 85 in the 80s, so she was born in turn of the century, I guess. Does that math hold up?
That works.
Yeah.
That works.
She was a tough motherfucker, man. Like
Yeah.
I never saw her smile. I never saw her say anything nice. All I ever saw was the fist coming at my face when I said something stupid.
So you saw that fist a lot.
A lot, yeah. I would say, yeah. Anyway.
Whoa.
Hey.
Well, my dad's dad, he died in the 90s, but my dad was kind of estranged from him for a long time, I think, or they just had like a bad, like, I don't really know anything about it. He doesn't really talk about it, but they didn't really have a good relationship. So I didn't really know him, and his mom died when he was like 18 or 19, so I never knew her either. On the Italian side of my family, my grandfather died in the late 90s, and I think I've talked about it before, but he was like the patriarch of the family, and it was very sad. And then memory I always talk about is that even though my parents were divorced at the time, I remember my dad hysterically crying that morning when his ex-wife's dad died. You know, that's like how powerful that man was in people's lives, and to me it was sad because I knew him and I loved him. I used to you know, we used to go there every Sunday for Sunday dinner, and have, you know, eat gravy and you know, pork chops and whatever Italian shit they were cooking. And I used to watch like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy with him. And during the week when I was there, and I don't know, we just had like a really good relationship where we used to just lay around, right? I used to like cuddle with him basically and like watch these shows, and like that's maybe where my love of like trivia and nerdy shit came from, because I was so into that stuff. But when he died, my grandma kind of went senile and crazy, and she died like 8 years later, but she had no idea what the fuck was going on anymore. And my major memory is the house that they bought on Long Island in Albertson, right outside of Mineola, so near the city. They bought it in like 47 or 48, and we sold it when my grandma died in like 2004, 2005. And we just all went there and went through it. And I spent days in that place, like finding prayer cards from like the 50s and like all this like crazy, and just went through all of their shit. I'm like, this is kind of feels wrong in a way, but I'm like, I'm totally going through all your shit right now. Like going through your drawers in your room, like all of these boxes of just fucking all this crazy shit in the basement. And it kind of gave me a little bit of insight into their lives that I never really understood, because again, they didn't talk very much, and you know, I didn't have the advantage that like, you know, my brother and my sisters had, where they were older and they understood them a little bit more. Like my brother was an adult, my grandfather died, like, so it was a little bit different for him. But my grandfather was he was in the war, he fought in the Pacific, and then you know, he was a fine artist. He owned a salon, like a woman's beauty salon in New York City. And like did hair and stuff like that too.
That's awesome.
And like, so he used to like cut my hair when I was a kid all the time, and I never really thought about it. I was like, why is like my grandfather cutting my hair all the time? Right. But he was like just a good man, and just like a solid like old Italian man. And yeah, like I wish I could just I would just be curious, like what he would think of this life, like Greg was saying, and also, you know, what I could have learned from him if I had just been a little more cognizant. But also, if he wanted to talk a little bit more, he was very friendly and his disposition was very forward, but he wasn't. You know, I was like, I knew what World War II was when I was 8 or 9 years old. I was into that shit, but I never really thought to ask him about it.
Right.
So
imagine the things he could have told you, right?
Yeah, like you know, you like want to know like weird kind of like. There's just weird things you want to ask, things that might not even be super appropriate, you know, like, but like things that you want to ask anyway, because like these people saw this, and this is the thing about the Greatest Generation is that like they are dying, and they're going. Like we even saw that in Saving Private Ryan in '97, like when that movie came out, which is one of my favorite movies. Like where they interview people and like you see like these people are even then where they're dying, and the people that stormed Omaha, like your grandfather did. I assume he was at Omaha, so I'm sure that's where he was. Like it's too bad that I wasn't more cognizant of it. It's too bad that he didn't hold on. And the fucking frustrating and obnoxious thing about my grandfather's death, as I said before, is that he had colon cancer, and it was totally preventable, and he ignored it for like 2 years, and it got too bad and too crazy, and then like he died, and it could have totally been cured, and it's like fucking infuriating, you know, like that happened because he was like the story goes that he was like having abdominal pain, like shitting blood and doing all these things, and just ignored it, just like I'm fine.
That's what they did.
Yeah,
that's what they did back then.
And it's like, Jesus, man. And that's
Meanwhile, the light hurts my eyes. I go to bed.
Call the doctors.
So, yeah, that's basically that for me.
Mr. Town.
Yeah, well, my dad had me pretty late in life. So my dad's probably around the same age as your parents, probably give, take 5 years.
Okay.
So my grandpa was also in World War II, and he was stationed in China right around the time that they dropped the bomb. And so he was preparing to go invade Japan. And if that had not happened, then he almost for sure would have died. And so I there's a lot of stories that kind of came out as he was passing away.
How long ago was that? Ballpark.
5-6 years ago.
Okay.
He like just kind of like never told anyone really much about it. Him or his brother, who they were double married. So
a dual ceremony?
No. So they were married to. So my grandpa and his brother married a pair of sisters.
Oh, okay.
So we have like double cousins. And
sure.
Like, when I first heard about it, I was like, "Is that okay?"
So school's making fun of you.
So
I think it holds up.
Specifically, my I don't know what you call that. Great uncle.
Okay.
My grandpa's brother.
Yeah,
he was in the Pacific and fought there and never said a thing about any of it. And then as my grandpa was passing away, he kind of just like let loose. He was like, mine was starting to go, and he just kind of talked about this storm that he was stuck in for like a month on like an aircraft carrier. And just how awful it was. Like everyone was sick, and they were stuck, and there's nothing they could do in like a horrible, crazy long storm. And so I really just want to ask, like you said, the war is just like super. Hearing what that is like from, the front lines, having to go do that, and probably wanting to at the time as well.
Yeah, of course.
Specifically with that generation, was very
sense of service. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, like I said before, he was very like, he met my grandma. 2 weeks later, they were engaged.
Yeah,
and then he went off to the war, came back. They got married. We recently discovered like a telegram he sent her from what must have been like where they were planning to go on their honeymoon, and it was an adorable little message to someone he barely knew.
Yeah.
And they ended up hating each other.
They stick it out though?
No, they at some point, I don't know when, I think after my dad's youngest brother left, they got divorced, and then someday my dad was calling them, and they were calling my dad, and then he thought he heard his mom's voice behind my dad. He's like, is mom there? And they're like, oh yeah, we're living together again. We're married again. Didn't tell any of their kids.
It happens.
Just they got married again, and then later, like 2 years, maybe even less than that, divorced again. So that's my dad's side of the family, and then my mom's side of the family is very, very interesting. I don't really know my grandpa on that side. Just kind of an estranged family member there. My grandma remarried, and this hilarious, tall, skinny Jewish man who is friends with Nelly.
Yes,
in St. Louis.
St. Louis. Yeah. Okay.
He like played poker with him and went to his like birthday, and like he apparently, fun fact.
Yeah.
Nelly has a tradition where everyone pins dollars to him for his birthday. And my grandpa
It's a good tradition.
pinned an Applebee's gift card to him.
Nice.
And he said it was his favorite present.
That's awesome.
So-
That's very cool.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
So I don't really know much about my actual grandpa.
Sure.
And he specifically like went into like Jehovah's Witness, and I kind of just want to know his history because I really don't know anything about it. I know that he had like some less than legitimate businesses and stuff. So I just want to know how he got to each like step in his life, because
Right.
I know like a couple just different landmark moments.
That's always the thing, right? Is like, yeah, the nitty gritty of all this. Like, I know, like, Grandma Kennedy, the story I was always, she played cards with Al Capone once, and it's like, that's awesome. How did that happen? And it's like, oh, this, that, and the other, and then it just happened. Like, what? Like, no, like, how does that? What do you mean? No, in the story where I'm like, man, me and Poppy would have gotten along, right? The story goes that there was one time they were my mom is a kid at this point or whatever. But one day, Poppy just came home with a giant box of meat. And they were like, where did all this meat come from? And he's like, oh, I was driving home, and all these cars were slowing down and going around this box in the road. And I got out, and it was this box of meat that fell off a refrigeration truck. So he called and had like this neighborhood barbecue. All these people came over and had like,
Oh, wait, literally, he was serious? It literally fell off the truck?
literally fell off a truck.
Wow.
I mean, now, again, though, that's
he
the story
believes.
that's been translated to
Right,
me
right,
through
right,
mom.
right.
Like, did it really? Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Poppy killed somebody for a box of meat. And again, I would respect that.
Hey, why not? Yeah, I mean, my mom has those stories too of because she moved from Italy over to Chicago, and then I guess they had some family there and stuff, and so she would get free coats and shit that quote unquote fell off trucks. And for the longest time, she actually legitimately thought they fell off trucks, but I guess they don't. She had an Uncle Al that I guess ran a furniture store on the west side, and I guess that was just no one ran businesses there, but he was really rich, so we don't know why.
Booming furniture
We
business.
don't know why.
Well, cheers to all the grandparents. If your grandparents are still out there, go talk to them and ask the questions we can't. Do it for your folks, I guess, too. Even your sister. What does she do? Why did she get that tattoo?
She's a useless shitbag.
Colin. Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, I don't like her sister.
Colin, what's your topic?
Which sister?
I want to just go quickly over our astrological signs and see what it says about us.
Oh,
right?
sure. Bathroom's right out there. It's that door right there.
I'm going to pee also after you.
Okay, then. Colin,
Yes.
what's your topic?
Oh, my mic's over here. So I wanted to quickly go through horoscopes. So I went to astrologyzodiacsigns.com, which is the first thing that came up when I searched for
Classic.
The premier
And
astrology sign.
I don't want to go through particular like what's your thing today or whatever. I just want to
okay.
see. I just want to go through what it says about.
Do
each
you
of us.
believe in these, Colin?
No, I don't at all.
Do you
And it's
believe in
total
these,
non-
Jordan?
No.
It's total
Nick, do you
nonsense.
believe in these?
No, not at all.
It's weird that they've persisted. I don't know anybody who ain't checks them still. This seems like a grandma thing we were just talking about,
Yeah.
right? This seems like something that you check and be like, oh, okay.
All right,
so-
I think, and here's a case in point. Maybe we should we'll do another one of these where you mix them up, and we'll see if
I will see who can.
we'll see if it actually matters.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I've always wanted to do that.
Nick, you're all right. Who's the Pisces?
I am.
You're a Pisces. All right. So the guest goes first.
What does that signify again? What,
I'm gonna tell you.
What month?
Oh, it's February 19th to March 20th.
Thank you.
So here's, tell me if this is accurate for you. This is what it says about Pisces. Strengths: compassionate, artistic, intuitive, gentle, wise, and musical. Your weaknesses: fearful, overly trusting, sad, desire to escape reality, can be a victim or a martyr. Pisces likes being alone, sleeping, music, romance, visual media, swimming, spiritual themes. Pisces dislikes know-it-all, being criticized, the past coming back to haunt, cruelty of any kind.
Well, I mean, it's like 50-50, like just
Right.
like horseshit, broad shit throwing at the wall, seeing what
Well,
sticks.
Nick loves the past coming back to haunt him. That's one of his favorite things.
Oh, that shit. No, I mean that's again, that's my point. Like that could all like any one of us could fit that to 80%, correct degree. That didn't make any fucking sense, did it?
To an
Nah, good
80%
enough.
degree, it works every time.
80% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
Greg, you're a Taurus.
Damn right. Strong like bull.
Taurus, April
You
20th
mess
to
with
May
the bull,
20th.
you get the horns.
It says strengths: reliable, patient, practical,
Jesus
devoted,
Christ.
responsible, stable. I would think that that's a pretty accurate representation of your strengths.
That's
nailed it.
stable, though.
Weaknesses: stubborn, possessive, uncompromising. I think that you're stubborn.
I am stubborn.
I think
not
you can be
uncompromising,
uncompromising. I don't think you are. I don't know that you're possessive because
He's
I don't,
not possessive.
I don't know that what that would mean in my relationship with you. You've never been possessive with me.
Possessive.
It says Taurus is like gardening,
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it cooking, music, romance, high quality clothes, working with hands. So I would say you definitely like cooking.
I do.
You're like a modest music fan. Romance seems like you like.
I do. I like romance.
You like romance novels, right? Romance stories.
I like erotic fiction. It's similar. It's not as much romance necessarily.
I mean, I clearly you don't like high quality clothes.
Batgirl usually falls down, gets knocked out, and then wakes. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Taurus's dislike:
Jesus.
sudden changes, complications, insecurity of any kind, synthetic fabrics.
I hate polyester.
And it's powerful
Everyone
and
hates
reliable.
polyester.
Taurus is the first when it comes to harvesting the fruits of his labor. They love everything that is good and beautiful, and they are often surrounded by material pleasures. That's true. People born under the Taurus sign are very sensual and tactile. Touch is extremely important for them, both in business and in romance.
True.
Stable and conservative, Taurus is among the most reliable signs of the
feel it if you
zodiac.
want.
Stubbornness is a trait that is forcing him to expel things to the end in order to comply with the standards. As an earth sign, Taurus can be overprotective of their loved ones. They are great in making money, and they will stick to their projects until it is successfully completed. Bulls are known for their stubbornness, but can also be interpreted as a complete commitment to the execution of tasks. This makes them excellent workers and great friends because they are always there, no matter what. Their ruling planet, Venus, represents love, attraction, beauty, and creativity. Taurus can be an excellent cook, entertainer, and artist. He is loyal and doesn't like sudden and unwanted changes.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
for sure.
I nailed
That was
that.
way more specific.
Yeah.
You're a Capricorn,
Correct.
Nick.
Which means
that's
again?
December 22nd
January.
to January 19th. Strengths: responsible, disciplined, self-control, good managers.
Already
This
went off
seems
track
like
there.
No, I feel like responsible and disciplined. You definitely are.
Yeah.
Self-control, maybe not. Good managers.
He keeps the rage in most of the time. That's
Weaknesses:
Bruce Banner was good at that, too.
know-it-all. You're not a know-it-all. Unforgiving. You're not unforgiving. Condescending. You're not condescending. And expecting the worst. I don't think any of that's true about you.
No.
Capricorn likes family, tradition, music, understated status. I don't know what that means. Quality craftsmanship.
Those are correct. Oh, those are correct.
you love your watch.
I do like the watch.
Capricorns dislike almost everything at some point.
That's probably true, but who that same can be said for anyone. At a certain point, don't you just hate fucking everything?
Everything and everyone around you.
When it comes to professionalism and traditional values, Capricorn is the first. I'm sorry. Capricorn is practical and is considered to be the most serious sign of the zodiac, who possesses an independence that enables significant progress, both on the personal level and in business. As an earth sign for a Capricorn, there is nothing more important in life than family. Capricorn is a master of self-control and has the potential to be a great leader or manager, as long as it is in the sphere of business. Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn, and this planet represents restrictions of all kinds. The influence of Saturn makes Capricorn born practical and responsible, so they know how to save money for the future. They are masters when they need to prove that they are right. People born under the Capricorn sign sometimes can be really stubborn. They strive to get to the top only with their experience. Problems may occur when the Capricorn is forced to be very close with his associates.
Y'all are fucked.
No, I think we've already seen that.
Have we?
Yeah. Remember how mad Kevin bopping around in the way?
I'm trying to let that go, though.
Yeah, we all try, but we
Breathing more.
can't.
Kevin is a Gemini. Gemini is May 21st to June 20th. Strengths: gentle, affectionate,
Nope. We're
Curi-
off the rails already.
curious,
He's
adaptable,
curious.
ability to learn quickly and exchange ideas. I actually think this is somewhat.
Yeah, no, so far they're nailing
You
it.
missed. You veered off at gentle though. Kevin is about as gentle as a fucking raging bull.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there.
I never break anything.
Weaknesses:
heart.
nervous, inconsistent, indecisive. Gemini likes music, books, magazines, chats with nearly anyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
1,000%
100%.
true.
Short trips around the town.
Yes.
Yes,
You
yes.
Gemini-
always want to be taken out of this house.
Gemini dislikes
This prison.
being alone, being confined, repetition, and routine. Expressive and quick-witted. Gemini represents two different sides of personality. You will never be sure, with whom you will face. Gemini can be sociable, communicative, and ready for fun, while on the other hand, it can be very serious, thoughtful, restless, and even indecisive. As an air sign, Gemini is concerned with all aspects of the mind. The zodiac sign is ruled by Mercury, which is a planet that represents communication, writing, and teaching others. They get fascinated by almost everything in the world, and they have a feeling as if there is not enough time to experience everything they want to see. This makes them excellent artists, writers, and journalists. Gemini sign, we know that you can't write. That's for sure. Gemini sign means that sometimes people born under this sign have a feeling that their other half is missing, so they are forever seeking new friends, mentors, and colleagues.
If we can get a Photoshop of his face on Curious George and one of you guys with the man in the yellow hat, that would be ideal.
Nick is the man in the yellow hat.
all right.
Yeah, I can. That's fine.
This one's pretty. All right, so I'm a Libra. That's September 30th to October 22nd. Strengths: cooperative, diplomatic, gracious, fair-minded, social.
Just shut it down. Just shut it down. Just shut it.
Weaknesses: indecisive, avoids confrontations, will carry a grudge, self-pity.
2 out of 20 bad.
Libra likes harmony, gentleness, sharing with others, the outdoors.
You've been gardening.
I actually do like the outdoors. Libra dislikes violence, injustice, loudmouths, and conformity. So there's a little bit of truth sprinkled in there, but I think wildly off.
I think yours was the one that didn't include music.
Yeah, that's funny.
People born under the sign of Libra are peaceful and fair, and they hate being alone. Partnership is very important for Libra born, and with their victorious mentality and cooperation, they cannot stand to be alone. The Libra is an air sign with expressed intellect and a keen mind. They can be inspired by good books, insurmountable discussions, and interesting people. The ruling planet of Libra is Venus, who is a lover of beautiful things, so the quality is always more important than the quantity for people born under the Libra sign. They are often surrounded by art, music, and beautiful places. They are cooperative by nature, so they often work in teams. Libra is fascinated by the balance and symmetry. Libra-born prefer justice and equality, and they cannot tolerate injustice. They avoid indulging in all types of conflicts and prefer to keep the peace where this is possible. They like to do everything in pairs and not alone. Sounds like a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, for you, it was definitely a bunch of nonsense. 100%.
So I wanted to just, I look at my zodiac sign once in a blue moon.
Sure.
Like when it comes, when you're in a newspaper or something and you like kind of come across that paper, but it seems to be like it's kind of nonsense. And I never thought to read what everyone's signs were.
Sure.
Also, I feel like when I've read about the Libra over the years, it's always different. The Libra's this, the Libra is that.
Oh, it changes
They
every
conflict.
month.
Yeah.
It's a different. Well, that's because doesn't it have to do with like where the stars are in alignment and how
Close to Venus it is.
whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Isn't that,
There's something to
isn't
that.
there,
Yeah, I don't know.
aren't they
You
supposed to
should know
change
this.
because they're supposed to like?
You described yourself as coming from a hippie town. You're supposed to be able to tell me about crystals.
Yeah,
and
tell me
this
about the
and everything
crystals.
else.
Oh, crystals. I can tell you about crystals.
I can spin you a yarn about
They have
crystals.
power. The crystals.
In my middle school, one of my like projects was we did a newspaper every week, right? At some point, we were cycling through jobs. I was the columnist about astrology and all that stuff. I would put the most ridiculous shit in there I could possibly think that my middle school brain could possibly think of.
You're gonna fart in class.
And at some point, my teacher was like, I was just talking. I was like, "Is there anything that I should actually like research for this job?" Like after 2 weeks of writing just like crazy stuff, he was like, "No, it's crap. Just write whatever."
That's
I was
awesome.
like, "All right, thanks."
Did
teach."
you like find out the girls you liked or whatever and like start pushing them that way? Like, what's your sign? And then you're like, you will find a lanky boy who writes for this paper.
an
Not
ethnically
really.
ambiguous child? No, I was never that smooth.
That would have been good. If anybody out there is working for their high school paper making up zodiac horoscopes, you should probably do that. I like that topic. That was fun.
That was good.
We'll revisit it in the future.
We got to
I
do
wanna know my
Tim at some
horoscope.
point.
Because that's different, right? The sign, what you just read is different from the horoscope.
Yeah.
The horoscope is the thing that changes every month, right?
right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or even every day.
Yeah, I think
It's every
yeah,
day.
yeah.
It's like today you're not gonna like milk. Oh, fuck milk.
All right.
That topic was brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, or a professional blog or online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Hey, Nick.
Yeah,
Is using Squarespace easy?
it is. It's fun.
We used it for our original
The
kindoffunny.com.
OG kindoffunny.com.
You can do the same thing. It's easy, plug and play. It looks great in mobile. It looks great in websites. You can get your free custom domain. You can use the beautiful templates. You can benefit from their customer support because it's 24/7, Colin. You got a question at 3 in the afternoon, 3 in the morning, Squarespace doesn't give a fuck.
3 in the afternoon is 3
They're
in the
there.
morning for me.
They're there ready to answer and help you out. So, guys, if you're getting ready to start a website, you need to go to squarespace.com and use the offer code KINDOFFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. Let's go. Jordantown,
Yes.
you've been an absolute pleasure.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys
Was
for
it good?
having
Was
me.
it worth it? I always worry about
great.
it.
No.
Because it's always like, this is just our
absolutely awesome.
day-to-day thing. We're yelling at Kevin. We got to do this. I bumped the microphone. You don't think about it. And then for you, this is a big deal.
I would have paid that just to yell at Kevin. Like, that's
You're allowed to yell at Kevin.
Yeah, for the rest of the night, you can do that for
Yeah,
free.
exactly.
Great.
Yeah. When we go to dinner, we'll make sure you can yell. Now, again, you scare me when you say you're a hippie.
Sure.
You got this vegan stuff. Do we have to take you somewhere special to eat? All right, good.
We're good.
Eat
We're
the
good.
meat?
Oh, I eat the meat.
Okay, good. If you found a box of meat on the road, would you bring it home and grill it for your family?
I mean,
Different time.
I probably would bring it, give it to someone I don't like.
Oh, okay.
See how that goes.
There you go.
We should put an asterisk on Patreon and say like, with the dinner being like, we're eating meat.
You have
We're
to too.
eating meat.
We, meaning you are going to eat meat.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I'm
honest.
gonna get that burger.
Yeah,
I
me
feel
too.
like
I'm gonna get the
Are we
burger.
going to the same
Yeah.
place?
Yeah, we'll go to
Yeah.
Social place? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting that burger too. That's good.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can support us like Jordan did to be on the show, or support us to get each and every episode early, along with a bunch of exclusives and goodies. If you have no money to give us, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where you get the show topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire thing as one big video in MP3 on Friday.
Greg, you mind if I read out a couple shout outs that I need to give some people?
You can, you go do it.
Mom and Dad. Classic, of course.
Yeah, do it.
My God, yeah.
They didn't make it this far. I guarantee they did not make it this far.
My godparents, Eric and Kelly, who helped me out a bunch. My friends, Caleb, Toma, Alex, Amanda, Amber, and then Trevor Starkey, who's been great to me on Facebook, who we've been talking a little bit.
He's a creeper. Be careful of him.
Oh.
This is how he gets you.
And then Patrick Kennedy, because he asked me on Facebook, and he was the first one to ask
Ask you what?
to get a shout out.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Patrick Kennedy. And then finally, my friend Gareth West. He has always been a huge comic nerd. Best friend. We grew up next to each other. He moved to, I think, Dallas, and is now starting a Robin web series. Which, I mean, it's right up.
That sounds awesome.
It's right up Kind of Funny alley. So go follow them at I believe it's Rubber Lizard Productions and at Robin Web Series, and at Gareth West.
Are they doing Dick Grayson? Or are they doing Tim Drake? Who are they doing?
I believe it's Tim Drake, because I think someone else is playing Dick Grayson.
I was gonna say, if you need a Nightwing, I know a guy, but apparently
well.
you got it sewn up.
I mean, you can always give a little.
You'll meet him at Kind of Funny Live, which was in the past for you, but is in your future. Are you excited for Kind of Funny Live?
I've been excited for 2 things in my life. Kind of Funny Live.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait for this one. What was the second thing? Can I guess?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just
No. I want.
realized
No,
your mom
Nick.
was gonna listen to this.
Nick, I want
I
you
gotta
to
go back
guess
and
right
bleep out
now.
all the times I talked about having sex with prostitutes. Sorry, Jordan's mom. We'll keep him clean for you. We'll send him back squeaky clean.
Second thing being hugging Pertilla.
Oh!
Oh, smell Portillo.
Okay, now support his bottom there. You get his rib cage, you got it. Yeah, there you go. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
It's really unfortunate I'm allergic to dogs.